Hey guys, today we have Matt Pichardo here. Matt's a real estate agent, real estate connoisseur, world traveler, my business partner, and a good friend of mine. And want to get him to here today, talk about his journey, his story in real estate. He's only in his mid-20s and last week just closed a multi-million-dollar deal. He's doing some big things. And so just want to talk about how you guys can get started in real estate too, how it's not too far-fetched, even if you're in your late teens or 20s, to work with people that are twice, three times your age. So Matt, without further ado, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Alex. Thanks.
Awesome, dude. So Matt, we've known each other for 5+ years now, and want to ask you, how'd you get into real estate? Because now you're part of a successful real estate brokerage. You're closing deals all the time. You're working with different clients, helping people buy property, helping people sell property as a real estate agent. How'd you get involved in real estate, and how did it all start?
Yeah, basically from the get-go is, I had a couple friends doing it. And my aunt, she actually used to work in mortgages too. I talked to her briefly about it. I had some friends that had a guy that they've had a good connection with that was a real estate agent, really successsul. And so I ended up talking with him. He really advised me to go with my license, mentored me, started working with some friends, aka you and a couple other guys, to do some investing. From that point, started working with Coldwell Banker in La Jolla under a team, started with an intern position with them and built my way up. And from there, it kind of just took off, was there for about a year and a half and decided to break off and start my own route, and led me to where I am today.
Awesome. And how old were you when you first started on your real estate adventure?
I was 22.
22.
Yeah.
Cool. And now, a few years later, you're here and you're doing multi-million-dollar deals.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And when was it that you actually wrote your book? Because you're an author, and I mean, you've been on a radio show talking about it. I mean, just talking about real estate in general in La Jolla and San Diego County. So how did that book come about as well?
So there's been a big buzz about real estate, a lot because of the TV shows and a lot because of like multi-million-dollar listing shows and things like that. A lot of young people want to get into it. It seems like it's the new trend. So what I decided to do, instead of wasting my breath, is to write everything down, something I can share with my friends. This wasn't intentional to be a book, but it was more intentional to help others out that I knew, and I could just, forward them the PDF. At that same time, it started to break into chapters. It started to get into different sections, and everything just came together. Decided to hire an editor and a designer to make the cover. And then I just, put it on Amazon, hopefully to help anyone else that can, benefit from it.
Awesome. And hopefully it's right. I mean, it has been helping people out, and you've been getting emails and stuff like that, right? People it's been helping them out with.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And so you work with buyers, you work with investors. I mean, you're always looking at deals yourself. What's your day-to-day kind of like right now, and what are you currently working on?
Right now, I'm focusing on building out the brokerage, working on a lead gen, and there's so much competition. But what I'm realizing in today's real estate field is that there's a lot of real estate agents out there that don't really understand what they're doing, know the value of real estate, how big of an asset it is to so many people, and they're doing it. It's almost like working with a doctor. Most agents sell about 5 homes a year. And let's say you were going to a doctor's office, you're about to have surgery, right? And then you say, oh, this doctor's only performed this 5 times a year. Would you trust that doctor to do your surgery? No.
No,
you want
a little
someone
sketched out.
Yeah, you want someone that's going to be has multiple experiences with this and is extremely knowledgeable. Yeah. And so I want to be able to create something like that that's going to be a point of reference for a lot of people to come to us and be able to benefit from us.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're just talking about like experience wise. I mean, like I said, you've helped people buy property, you help people sell property, you've worked with real estate investors, you've helped people rent out property. I mean, you've studied construction. You're all over the place. I mean, I like it. What do you enjoy doing the most out of everything? Because I mean, you're super well versed, but we can't always do everything. So what do you like doing the most?
The goal is eventually to get into development more so, or reconstruction, because in my point of view and my expectations in real estate is to convert neighborhoods or transform different areas. And this is partially the reason why I got into real estate, is because I'm a big fan of families and the way that kids grow up. And I believe that your environment has such a big impact on the way that you live. And so when kids are growing up and they live in a shitty house, right, then they're going to feel like they're coming from the slums, and they don't, compare to their friends who have granite countertops or whatever it may be. And they compare themselves, as a kid, you don't even realize what you're doing. You don't have that knowledge to understand what's happening. So, looking at that stuff, you start to set mindsets in your mind. So if I have the opportunity to change that, to change neighborhoods and to create a better lifestyle for anyone, then I'm going to take that opportunity and make it better for them.
That's huge. That's really cool. Yeah. And I mean, just speaking about environment, not only like physical and geographical, how has your environment of friends and people you surround yourself got you to where you are today? And how important is that to surround yourself with maybe people you aspire to be like, or people that motivate you, things like that? Because I think, I mean, me being in my 20s as well, that's been a huge factor for me. And I think that if someone is not where they want to be, that may be a way where they can get to where they want to be.
Yeah, it's huge. That's why I hang out with you. But I completely agree that, everyone hears it. 5 people you surround yourself with, living environment's important. People that you go to and ask questions to, the events that you go to, parties, etc. Whatever it may be, whatever you're doing, just stop and kind of realize, are these some of the people that I really want to be around or surround myself with or see my lifestyle in? And if it's not, you can either automatically drop it, slowly start to take yourself away from it, or start exploring new different areas that you feel like would be the best situation for you.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from you, asked you a lot of questions, and vice versa. I think we're both experts in our own ways and in our own fields within real estate, which is such a big industry that there's so many different things you can focus on. And I think one thing I really admire about you too is when you started in real estate, you went right to the experts and right to the people who were already doing what you wanted to be doing, and just started asking them questions. And rather than trying to figure out every single little thing for yourself, you went straight to the top and went to brokers who have been in San Diego for 10 plus years, right? Like the people doing the most volume in La Jolla, in San Diego. And I think that's something to point out as well, because I mean, it didn't take you that fast to rise to the top as well. I mean, you're getting deals that these people that you were a mentee of a few years ago, you're now doing the same types of deals they're doing.
Yeah.
So how important is that, you think? And I mean, how much did that accelerate your learning curve, you think, just going straight to the top?
Yeah. I mean, I've been taught and learned that you can reach anyone, that someone's always 2 people away. No matter who it is, you can get an introduction. Yeah. And people love when you reach out to them. So sending someone an email saying, hey, I look up to you, or this is something that I admire about you, or I'd love to get to where you're at. Can I buy you a cup of coffee, or can we meet up? Whatever it may be, unless they're douches, they're definitely going to be open to it. And so that's extremely important, to be able to have that will to reach out to someone else and have them guide you. And they're more than happy to do it. Absolutely.
I think you're right. And I think a lot of, maybe if you're your late teens or 20s and you don't have all the knowledge, it can be kind of scary to reach out to these people, right? Or you can have some self-limiting beliefs like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, or who am I to talk to them? They've done X, Y, and Z. They've done a lot of deals, and what's the value I bring? But just like you said, people do like to talk about their successes. I mean, they get to reflect on their own path, and that's what I found. Whether I invite someone out to coffee or lunch, it may not work all the time, but a majority of the time, it definitely works. So you can start to develop I mean, lifelong relationships there. I mean, especially you can learn, you can develop friendships, and I'm sure people you've reached out to just to learn some information from, you're probably still friends with them in one way or another, or work with them in one capacity or another, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. And where do you want to take it now, Matt? What else do you want to talk about? Because I know there's a lot of people right now in their 20s, and they want to get started in real estate, and so they can go out to mentors, they can learn. What else can they do? You think that would be helpful for them?
There's one thing that I'm realizing a lot is that, you can go on Reddit, Quora, all these different sites, and people are asking the question of how can I become successful in real estate? And one thing that they don't understand is that's such a broad question, because you can be an investor, you can be a real estate agent, you can be a loan officer in real estate, you can be title, you can be so many different parts in a real estate career, right? So that's such a broad question that what someone in that position should do is figure out more exactly in which path they want to go to, figure out who they want to become, and then start taking steps to become that person. It's not just becoming successful in real estate. That's how a lot of people just become an agent, a real estate agent, don't understand what they're doing, and they don't advise properly. Today I'm seeing a lot of agents offering more commission to brokers to sell a house when it's really the buyer that is buying the house. So how is, that's just creating, I can't think of the word right now, but basically you're incentivizing the broker to convince their buyer to buy a house just so you can benefit. Now, you brought up the point that I sold a multi-million-dollar house, just last week. The funny thing is that client I've been working with for about nearly 2 years, and she was the one that came across this property, new construction, hasn't broken ground yet, called me and told me about it. She could have easily went to the developers and, went and cut me off, but she knew that we were a team, that had her best interest in mind, and I've been sticking with her. It's in the same form as, going to a restaurant. If you've ever been in that situation where you're stuck between a few different items in the menu, you don't know what to order, and then so you ask your waitress or server, hey, which one would you recommend? You would really hope that they give you your right opinion, ask you questions like, well, what are you in the mood for? What do you like? This and that. Not just focusing on the high ticket value. It's more so focusing on the quality. Mm-hmm. Because if you're focusing, let's say the server was focusing on the high ticket value, they'd obviously say the most important or the most expensive plate, which means tipping 18%, they're going to get a bigger tip. But in reality, if you provide them exactly what they want, they're most likely to be extremely happy and give you way more than just an 18% tip, right? Mm-hmm. Providing the service that they actually, should be giving. Same concept in a real estate field, like being a real estate agent, I'm not focused on the ticket value. We had a range and we had our specific criteria that we're looking for. And going back to Susan is like, yeah, we had all of these things in mind, and she knows that I was looking out for her best interest throughout this entire, construction period. We did look at some other homes, but I told her, those aren't the right homes for you. Mm-hmm. I know that this is going to be the best situation for you. And it's not because of price. It's because I know what she wants and I know what she expects. And that's the value that's provided. So it was a little rant, but.
No, that's awesome. I think there's a couple big things to point out right there. One, she could have went straight to the developers who were building a house that she liked, but she wanted to work with you. She wanted to work with a professional, someone she knew, someone she trusted. And that all started from, 2 years ago when you met with her? And 2 years ago, you were 23. And she's older than you. And she could have found someone who's, maybe 50 years old or something, been in La Jolla for a long time. But she chose to work with you for a good reason. And that's something huge to point out. I mean, I've worked with people older in my career as well, and I think in the beginning it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like this guy is twice my age and he wants to invest in this property, or he wants to do a deal together and JV on something. And I think that if you have any limiting beliefs with working with someone older, that you can just crush those right off the bat, because they're super silly. And because if you're just a genuine person and you want to excel in your area, then it'll all work out and people will want to work with you. And I mean, that showed on this deal right here. We've been talking every week since it's been going on. And so I've kind of followed you on the journey, and I know how you've communicated, how you've presented yourself. And then also I know that your client is extremely happy with you providing the exact property that she wanted. And then also I know that because of you provided such a great service, just like if you eat at a good restaurant and you have great service, you're going to tell a lot of friends, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you put yourself in that position of where people are going to recommend you, man, because you've done a really good job. And I think that's when you get started, you may not know where you're going to get that next deal from or that next client. But if you really focus on the one client or the couple clients you have and do a great job, word of mouth spreads quickly and people are going to give you referrals, right?
Yeah.
And have you had referrals in the past as well?
They come and go. Not everyone. That's the thing about real estate. Not everyone's ready to buy and sell. I was talking to someone last night, that's another real estate agent, that she's been in the industry for a year and a half and hasn't had one single sale yet. She's focusing on vacation rentals and focusing on rentals. That's her income at the moment. And she had her first listing presentation. And so she was extremely happy about that. But the fact is, there's so much competition. Like I mentioned, so many people trying to get into the industry because they see the glamour in it from the TV shows or whatever it may be, that they don't understand that these people have been at it for decades and years, coming up. And Bravo, for example, wants to work with them because they have all these experiences and all of this knowledge. It's not just they didn't just pick some random person that's been working for a couple of years, less than a handful of years. They're going to work with someone that has built themselves up already and has been there in the industry for a long time. So this isn't an industry that you come into and expect things to happen and you're going to become super rich and it's glamorous and you're going to be driving Maseratis, etc. Unless you team up with someone who has a Maserati, then you will be riding Maseratis. But yeah.
So Matt, I completely hear what you're saying. And there's a lot of different fields with a lot of competition. And I mean, in a mere few years, you're doing these deals, these big deals we're talking about. So how do you separate yourself from the competition? Because you're doing a great job at it. And how could the people listening separate themselves if they're in real estate as well? Because you're doing something right, obviously.
It's consistency. It's really the question that my mentor said is, what's your value? What do you provide? Not just dropping a fee, not just dropping, lowering your commission, lowering your listing fee or anything like that. It's people are always going to ask for more and more and more, and that's not where your value point is. It's, he always asks me, what is your value? And I think that that's something that people will need to figure out for themselves.
So yeah, what value can you bring? It doesn't have to be monetarily, but it can be like great service. It can be you're always responsive. If you don't have the answer, you say that's a great question, I can figure it out. Right? You can be their real estate resource in one way or another, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back to my value, I might not be the best fit for everyone, to be honest, and everyone might not be the best fit for me. I don't have to work with everyone, but the value there is more so commitment, authenticity, and understanding what it is that you want and going out of my way to make sure that happened. Earlier this year, I had a family who were selling their house and buying a new home. We sold their house for 40 to 50K over value and have the highest sale in the entire community and still have the highest sale. At that same point during escrow, they needed to find a new home. So I found them a off-market property before it was listed, right by a lake, beautiful views from the kitchen, everything. It's private. Only about 5, 6 homes have this view on that block, and got them into it, set up the perfect timeline, set up everything. They, purchased this property, and there were a couple agents and a couple families that were really upset because they were waiting for it to come on market. So the thing is being committed and providing that value of, this is going to be your home, and I'm going to make sure that that happens. So one, they got the biggest sale, for their value of their home. And then they got into their dream home that they are going to live in for 10 plus years.
That's huge. Yeah, you said you were going to deliver, and you delivered, man. That's great. Because if for people who don't know, San Diego, La Jolla, that whole area, it's a hot market. I mean, a lot of times properties get multiple offers. And so when your client says they want something, you were reaching out to agents, brokerages, let me know your off-market deals, getting ahead of the competition, making yourself different one way or another. Instead of all these other agents who had clients who are waiting until something hits the market and sitting back and just at their computer, you were being proactive, taking action, reaching out to agents and these brokers for your clients. And I think that's, going back to how you stick out, that's one huge way how you stick out.
Yeah.
And being consistent with that. And I mean, at the end of the day, is it that hard to make yourself stick out, or is it just you just put in the work and you do a few specific actions and you can excel?
Yeah, you just got to put in the work. You got to make it happen.
Just got to show up?
Yeah, that's all you got to do. I love it. We had 34 offers on their home.
That's crazy.
Talking about multiple offers.
34 offers on their home.
Yeah.
And I remember you showed me videos of the open house. How many people did you have there?
Yeah. Oh, it was open concept, right? And people were like squeezing by each other. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah, for people
they were waiting outside before I even showed up at the door.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you did such a great job of marketing that. I remember it looked like a freaking party, like some crazy house party was happening. There's so many people there. People going up the stairs, like in a line, filing to go up the stairs, and 34 offers. So if anyone's in San Diego too and needs someone to list their property or needs an awesome agent, Matt will take care of you for sure. Out of many things I admire about you, I mean, that's just your actions speak really loud with the way you deliver for your clients. And let's go to 34 people showing up at an open house. How the heck did you market that? Because you got to be doing something different. I've never heard of anyone else getting 34 offers on a house. I've never seen that many people at an open house. How the heck did you do that for people who want to just have raving fans as clients and who want to do this, have the same results that you're having?
Yeah. It's just touching all your bases. I'm reading Checklist Manifesto, and it talks about having a checklist. And making sure that you're touching all your bases. Even as a doctor, right, you have to have your checklist, make sure you're checking off all of these different options that could potentially be wrong with your patient. And for real estate, in my position, is I have my checklist, and I go through my checklist and I make sure that I hit every single point, whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's making phone calls, emails, campaigns, advertisements, all sorts of different, career or different options, words of mouth, everything. You want to make sure that you get, excitement and get that built up before putting it on the market.
So even before it's on the market, you're doing pre-marketing, building up the suspense.
Yeah. And on top of that, one thing that I'm extremely adamant about is first impression. First impression is the best impression. I paid for a cleaner and things to be done around the house out of my pocket so that the home can be in its best condition when people are seeing it. And I think that that's what really got people to write an offer, is they were extremely impressed. Not only did they see a lot of people in there competing for the same house, and I had so many agents trying to, squirm around saying like, how can I get in this? Like, how can this be, how can you accept my offer? It's like, it's not my option. whatever the sellers decide to, go with, and I'm going to advise them in which direction to go because I'm an advisor. But it's really going back to the prepping and marketing, is making sure the home is ready, to be seen by someone that wants to make it their home, not to walk into and feel like they're invading someone else's space, someone else's home, but more so envisioning this could possibly be my home. Because no one likes to walk into a home and say, oh God, like, can I walk on this carpet? Or whatever it is. You feel like awkward when you're at a new home. It's someone else's home.
For sure. That another way you stick out, for sure. And one thing I want to point out is you didn't just throw up one post on Facebook too of like, hey guys, open house coming up. You made calls, you did emails, you posted on social media, going to broker caravans where all the agents meet up in an area. You touched all your bases, you had your checklist, and I think that's huge for anyone in the real estate field. Let's just say you're flipping and renovating a property. If someone has an agent like you listing it, they're covered. But most of the times, an agent won't go as far as what you're doing and do as good a job as you. So even if you're flipping or renovating a property, you want to make calls to brokerages. You want to make calls to agents. You want to go to a broker caravan if you can. You want to post it on social media, not once but twice, and talk about your open houses, because the more eyeballs you get on there, the more offers you're going to get. So marketing 101 is so important. You can't do hope marketing where you just post it once and hope everyone comes. You got to put in the work. You got to be consistent. You got to market it, and then those good things will happen.
Yeah.
Do you have any new books coming out?
Not yet, but I might be adding more to my first book, or I might create a second. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Follow me and you'll see.
So Matt, we talked about your come up. We talked about how to make yourself different than the competition. For anyone involved in real estate, what else do you have? Any wisdom, any golden nuggets that you wish you knew when you were starting out, that someone who's interested in the field could use and apply, and hopefully get them ahead of the learning curve sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I'd say don't quit your day job when you first start off, because not everyone is going to trust a new real estate agent first. It's really hard to build when you're starting a client list, and it's going to take a few months. You're not going to get a paycheck for 6+ months, most likely. And on top of that, paychecks don't come until you close the deal. So if you're not closing, you're not getting paid. So it could be quite a long time when you first start off. But if you're working under someone, if you're really adamant about becoming an agent and you really want to be successful, work under someone that knows what they're doing and has, that mentality and that position that you would like to see yourself in when you first start off, and follow what they're doing. Eventually you'll get there.
And how can you add value to them so that they see that you're someone who wants to learn and actually take you on board and teach you things? Because you have to convince them in one way or another, right? You can't just be some lazy person who goes there and says, teach me these things, and they'll teach you automatically. So how do you get them to want to work with you?
Yeah. Show up. First important rule. Show up early too. And then ask questions. Always be asking questions. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? So why didn't you say this? Those are important questions, because anything you say can hurt you or can benefit you. So it's, always asking questions. Show up, always ask questions. And I mean, that's going to be your learning point. Mm-hmm. Just follow what they're doing and understand why.
Mm-hmm. And like I've seen in other fields, or in like martial arts, things like that, when you teach something, you learn as well. So I'm sure you guys get into a rhythm of you're asking questions, they teach you, they're learning more, and it's just kind of this mutually beneficial. You're also working for them, under them, whether getting referrals or deals for them, but it kind of becomes like a harmonious partnership where you guys work together and also, I think a point to talk about is that they can learn from you as well. It's not just a one-way street all the time, right? I think one thing you're very good at is social media and putting yourself out there and connecting with your audience. And someone who's 40, 50 years old, maybe even older than that, who's been in the real estate game for a while, they most likely haven't used social media to market any properties, to connect with their audience, to get clients, to get deals, anything like that. So I think that's another way you've stuck out, and how maybe people who are in their teens or 20s can add a lot of value to any broker, real estate investor, and their company by just coming in and rocking their social media too.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely want to add value to them. Not only if someone's teaching you or training you or whatever it is, if you're gaining from them, you definitely want to be able to provide some value for them, whether it be something you're good at. For example, us millennials, we're good at social media and being online, whereas, your mentor might not be. So if you can provide value in that, offer some skills that you have that they, might be able to benefit from, it's just not a one-way road. It's a two-way road where you got to provide value too.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the hard work, what you need to put in, but what are some of the benefits of working in real estate and working hard? Yeah. Because you work hard, you also play hard. And so what has being in real estate allowed you to do? And for someone who wants to get in the field, what it can allow them to do?
Yeah. One thing I love about it is, you are your own boss. You do make your own schedules. My family doesn't live here. I get to, take my time and go see my family and spend that time with them, which I love. And again, my benefit is being able to help other families achieve, their dream and help their kids grow up in a great area, neighborhood, family, home. And it's more so about feeling the achievement of being able to provide them the benefit of happiness. Because if you make them happy, ultimately you're going to be happy. If you're a good person, then you understand that. But it's more so of, it's not about the money. It's more so about the care and what you provide and how you impact other people's lives, I'd say.
That's great. So you get to spend time with family. You get to help people out. I mean, it's a feel-good business. You can feel good about what you do with your livelihood. I think that's awesome. And so you're helping other people. But what about like traveling the world? I think you're just Greece not too long ago. I mean, you get to live life on your terms. Like you said, you get to be your own boss. If you want to take a month off because you've had a great year, then you can reward yourself. So what's that like?
The world is an amazing place. Been to quite a few places, but not every place. So there's still more to come. But hopefully you'll join me in one of these, huh?
Absolutely. Next trip, I'm coming. Good, man. Well, Matt, world traveler, real estate connoisseur, real estate expert, author, just overall Renaissance man. Any other items you want to share, or where can people reach you as well? Because I think anyone listening can learn a lot from you just following you and staying on track with your journey as well.
Yeah. Facebook, Matthew Pichardo. You'll find me, Prime Home Partners. Instagram, Matthew_Pichardo, Pichardo. And email matt@mattpichardo.com. I'm pretty available, so if anyone wants to reach out, more than happy to help.
Nice. Thank you, Matt. And where can they find your book?
Amazon.
What's it called?
It's The Beginner Real Estate Agent. So if you're starting off, deciding, goes from the point of if you're deciding to get your license to the steps of taking courses to get your license, to taking the test, to finding out a brokerage that fits your needs, because there's multiple brokerages, and then goes into lead gen and how you can start to build, leads and start to build a client list. So if you're considering becoming an agent, definitely check out the book.
Perfect. And I'll put your links down below in the description, all of those, and also the link to your book too, so people can connect with you on social media, get your book if they want it. And Matt, I appreciate your time. I know we're going to be working together on other deals pretty soon. So thank you very much for this interview today. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Take care.
Later.